It's the Nothingy Awards! We Promise Nothing presents the best of 2017. The Nothing Awards are brought to you by the Tyrell Corporation. Genetic replicants more human than human. Superman's mustache. It's there if you look for it. Korg's Revolution. Asking you... Hey men, allow me to introduce myself. My name's Korg. These are my friends. We're gonna jump in that ginormous spaceship and start a revolution. Wanna come? You could be our new Doug. And old Master Skywalker's green milk. It's lukewarm. This is JPar, and you are listening to the We Promise Nothing show. Today on the show, we have Clayton, we have Myles, and we have Dabu. And before we get things started, the music you're listening to right now has been brought to you by SoundsLikeAnEarful.com. If you need great music for your podcast, check them out, SoundsLikeAnEarful.com. Now today we are doing the We Promise Nothing Awards 2018. And that's right, today we are not going to be giving out any awards. We promise not to give any of these awards out, but they are the Nothing Awards that we will be giving out today. So if you listened to this last year, we picked several categories that we thought was the best and the worst of 2016 at that time, but now this time. 2017 is going to get its dose of We Promise Nothing. So, say hello to the crowd, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hey-o.
Hey, everybody.
And aren't they lovely, ladies and gentlemen?
And so talented.
And so talented, yes, and modest. So we got some great categories now. I'm going to list them off. Today, you're going to hear our opinion on most intense TV moment, most interesting TV character, best TV series, best comic adaptation, best use of music. We might cover the effects. You might see this a little extra. Best franchise, biggest surprise, best movie scene, most disappointing movie, best movie or TV actor, actress, and finally, the big one, best movie. Best movie, folks. And to make sure I am fair and impartial today, and to make sure there are no ties, I have invited Kathy along to be our judge.
Hi!
She is in the background. We have her locked up, and we will take the key out and unlock her if we need her for any tiebreakers.
Get me out!
No, not yet. So
I really have to pee!
Quiet, you. So let's start with our first category, which is most intense TV moments. I wish I went back and I actually wrote down what won last year. That was one of the things I did intend to do, but I believe we did choose
Battle of the Bastards.
Battle of the Bastards. Hells yes.
That's why
So here's my nomination, and then I'll let you guys put out your nominations. You guys could disagree, agree, maybe even mention something that I didn't think of. Last year, Boo came up with Glenn's death in Walking Dead when Negan debuted and smashed their heads in with a bat.
Glenn's dead?
Oh darn!
Oh, you should probably spoiler alert.
Oh, yes. So, if you haven't been spoiled already by that, then I'm going to warn you right now. There is going to be a lot of spoilers, even for Clayton, because we're going to tell him what happened on Game of Thrones this year.
You just told me what happened in Walking Dead. I'm like 6 seasons behind. I still got a lot of catching up to do.
Wow, then, yeah.
Well, don't fall for Glenn.
Surprise, someone dies in Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so my nomination for most intense TV moment this year, 2017, is the dragon being taken down in Game of Thrones and then being taken over by the, what do you call him, the Night King. That's my nomination. That was intense. When they took that dragon out, I was just like, shit. Once again, I'm sorry to say, Game of Thrones is my favorite TV show. So that is my nomination.
That's a good
Cool.
one.
That's a good choice.
Okay, for my nomination, I am going to go with 11 closing the rift at the end of Stranger Things Season 2.
Oh, cool.
Because her power is elevated higher than it's ever been before, and then Jim he's trying to kill the demon dogs on the walls, and you can see the mind flayer through the rift, and she's just nosebleed, her eyes are messed up, she's floating off the ground, like everything was just working towards that moment. And then when she finally does it, I felt like it was the best part of that season for me.
Cool.
I have to admit, actually, the fact that they even lifted her up in the air
Yeah,
was kind of
like
cool, because
just-
it had that Magneto kind of effect where she was just that much more accentuated in power because
Yeah.
she could lift herself up as well as close the door.
Yeah.
For me, I'm sorry to say this, Clay, but I got to go back to Game of Thrones because this is partly the big reasons why this show does so well. My favorite intense scene had to be the men trying to... They're waiting for the horde of zombies to slowly circle around them around the frozen lake. That had to be so much more tense. More tense than the dragon being
I forgot
taken
about
down.
that scene.
I was so damn uncomfortable watching that scene that when they would skip
It's
and
the
then
same
come back.
episode too.
It is. So it goes to show you that whole episode is actually definitely worth watching. But that one was it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. I didn't know what to expect. I knew that they had to make it out of there, but no, I didn't know
Let
what
me
was
just
gonna
paint a
happen.
picture. It's like they get into that middle piece, and then like what they realize the ice is all broken. So the zombies, the walkers, they can't get to them. So and then eventually they just end up waiting out there. So they're like one freezes to death, and they're just waiting there so long that it even gets cold again. And then next thing you know, one makes the fatal mistake of throwing a rock, smashing one in the face. Oh, looks like that ice is frozen again, and it's on again. Here come the White Walkers at him one more time.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Okay, so to echo everyone's point here, I have a Game of Thrones episode, same season, but episode 4, the loot train attack. Now, the first couple episodes of the show, they were beating down the good guys. They were just losing left and right. They were losing fleets. They were losing castles. They were losing people. And then all of a sudden, the loot train attack, Daenerys is like, fuck this shit. I'm taking the dragons the Dothraki, and I'm getting a win today. And she did. So as the loot train is going, and we have Jaime and everybody else, they just won. They're all laughing. They have all their gold and everything. You hear the Dothraki. You hear the storm of the horses coming, and you know, okay, shit's about to get real. And then you hear the scream of the dragon. I just got chills.
Well, it sounds like the favorite today is Game of Thrones, but which one will it be? And this is where Kathy comes into play, so take the key out and we will unlock her from her chair.
So did you see both Stranger Things and Game of Thrones to the end? Okay.
Yes, I have.
That's good.
Perfect. That's why she's the impartial judge.
Yes.
So, who wins today, Kathy? What is your favorite out of those 4 choices?
Which gave you chills, goosebumps?
They actually all gave me goosebumps, so it's really, really
Okay,
difficult.
we all get an award. That was easy.
I'm trying to think of the one that gave me the largest goosebumps.
Here, come talking to the mic.
I'm gonna have to go with the frozen lake scene.
Awesome.
Because
Oh, there you go. That's Boo.
that almost gave me like 3 heart attacks, 2 strokes, a coronary. I think I got like 10 more gray hair. I didn't appreciate that, but
We all had amazing choices. I just felt like when I had to think about it, the one I chose, it was because it was a slow, intense build of you didn't know what to expect at all given times. The scene you brought up, I knew something was about to happen, so I felt like maybe when I think back on it, it wasn't as intense. It built up to an intense.
For me, it was
battle.
the first 3 episodes getting their ass whooped, and then the 4th episode, it finally turned the tide, and then they started winning battles. So
Daenerys gets a little payback with some dragon fire.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So your winner, Frozen Lake scene from Game of Thrones. Next, we have most interesting TV character.
I definitely went off the rails with this one.
Yeah, me too. I don't even know if you
I
guys have seen
had
this
a
show.
And I
heck
know
of a
Kathy
time.
didn't see this show.
I had a heck of a time choosing one, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but I am going to go back to Game of Thrones. It was just easy for me. So I wanted to think about it more, but I couldn't think of anyone else this year that was really interested. Last year I had some different suggestions, but this year I don't have anything else but Game of Thrones. So I almost want to make it a tie between Jon Snow and Daenerys. Them two getting into their weird relationship, and Jon Snow, like, we know what his lineage is now, so like he's an interesting character, and seeing how this is all going to play. And it was interesting to see how he was going to play against Daenerys, and how Daenerys was going to play against him, and she tries to kind of like put her authority down on him, and he's just like, no, I'm not going to do it that way, I'm going to do it the northern way. And I thought that was a great dynamic, so that is my nomination.
Clayton, no pressure.
No, this is a good one, I think. Actually, I don't know if any of you guys have watched Frontier. Discovery Canada has this
Jason
hit on its
Momoa.
hands. Yeah, Jason Momoa is actually I think it's his show. Like, he's producing it, directing it. But his character Declan Harp on that show is fucking awesome. Like, I wasn't a huge Jason Momoa fan until I watched that show.
Until Aquaman.
Yeah.
Justice League, right?
No,
That'd be a
he
good
is
fan?
10 times as
Stargate.
awesome in
Stargate.
he's 10 times as awesome in Frontier. He plays Declan Harp. He's got a really interesting backstory. He's the most original and interesting new character that I've caught up with this year, and I hope that show is on for a good couple of years.
Awesome.
All right. I'm going to go on a different tangent here. I picked Mad Max out of Stranger Things. So just to be clear about it, that she was the newest character added to the group of kids. She stands out very uniquely. She's not like the boys, well, for good reason, not the same gender, but simply said, she's not the same type of personality. She's very very rough around the edge. You know, you can tell she's a bit of a tomboy, which I guess makes it easier for her to fit in afterwards. But she was always resilient to being part of the group. She didn't want to be officially part of the group, even though you could clearly tell she was looking for, you know, some camaraderie, I guess, throughout the story arc. But she was a nice surprise throughout that series, because we were already familiar with the rest of the cast and the characters and where the story was going. But Max was just kind of thrown out of nowhere. It was almost like a necessity, because that threw a wrench in the mix to make it very different whenever it needed it. So she was a welcome addition from...
Well, she had to fight to get her way in, too, because the group was still dealing with the loss of Elle.
Yeah.
So they weren't just, like, especially, what's his name there?
They weren't
Finn
so...
especially was not ready.
They didn't...
to accept
not all
her.
of them welcomed her in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She was my choice.
I'm going to reveal a secret.
Uh-oh.
I have not seen the season 2 of Stranger Things.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Frogs.
Sorry.
Folks. You
Sorry.
heard it here first,
Folks.
folks.
So yeah, hearing these characters and scenes, I don't know. It's too bad that I haven't seen it.
You should watch it. You should have said
The
something.
end of the first season, I didn't want to watch anymore.
Really?
Yeah. It
The
just,
second season.
the way it left, the whole show, I didn't. I got a bad taste in my mouth. So I could live the rest of my life not watching the show. I'm just gonna be honest.
Unbelievable.
But going into something that I know nobody here has watched, Dragon Ball Super.
You
It's
read
a
about that?
cartoon?
It's an anime.
You read about that?
There is a character named Jiren. Now, the reason why I'm bringing him up is, at this point in the show, as anime goes, you always have that one protagonist that just kicks everyone's ass. Okay? No challenge from anybody. And then this guy shows up. He doesn't talk. He's got no backstory. But everyone's scared of him, including the gods. And he's forced to fight. He's a good guy. But he's forced to fight the protagonist to save his universe. So it's such an interesting idea to have two people that are good fight each other because the people above them are saying, if you don't fight, your universe is destroyed. So I'm actually... There's an episode airing tonight that I can't wait to watch. He finally talks in it.
Way to timestamp it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we're doing best of 2017.
Yeah, 2017. You know,
Jiren
he was
talks.
Yeah, he was revealed last year, and this year we get to see a little more about his backstory, so I can't wait to see more of this character.
Bold choice.
Yeah, very bold.
I like-
I don't care if it wins or not.
I like
just
your
want,
balls.
I just want to.
I like your balls.
Throw it in the
But
ring.
you do know you're
just-
probably not going to
no one's gonna fight
You're just
No,
spreading
I
the
got it.
gospel of Jiren here.
I am.
Spreading awareness.
I was going to pick Jon Snow first, but you know what? I felt, no offense, it was a bit of a cop-out just because Jon Snow we know.
I know.
We know pretty much
I
everything
admit-
about him. We
I
know
admit-
more about him than he knows about himself.
That's because he knows nothing.
Jon Snow
Jon
never
Snow
knows.
knows-
Nailed it.
Doesn't know anything.
And that's why he won't be accepting any awards tonight, because he got lost. He knows nothing.
Yeah.
That's why I picked Harp, because I wanted to move out. I wanted to try to. He was the biggest character that
That's why I picked
surprised me of
Jiren,
the year. Yeah.
because he came out of nowhere for me.
I have to admit, I appreciate how you described it. I'm not a DBZ follower in any way,
Whoa.
shape, or form. Aside
DBZ?
from
You say that out loud.
But you
He
can
just said that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just
And
quoted
do I live in a
very
world where
popular
I'm the
anime
only
series.
one that's aware what DBZ
you
refers
can just
to?
acronym it super casually.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was pretty
But
cool.
I love how you painted a picture of how he's not a villain, but
He's
at the
not.
same time he has every reason to be fighting,
For his universe.
For his universe, exactly. So I think that makes for an interesting character.
Well, once again, I mean, I gotta leave it in the judge's hands, I suppose, for different answers.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Then I don't think that there's any
I don't
way.
think it's gonna be a
Kathy, that
tough
you
one.
saw
I
all
think
four of
Kathy-
I
them.
feel bad for you, Kathy.
But
it's
just
hard.
judging from what was said, he even said his second choice was Jon Snow, so you gotta
Yeah.
consider that information.
It was actually originally my first choice, but then I thought, you know what? He's not that
Let's
interesting
throw
anymore.
a monkey wrench into this.
Now, unfortunately, I haven't seen Frontier or
Dragon Ball
You're
Z.
going to.
Yeah,
You're going to watch
whatever
it.
you
It's
just
really
said.
good.
Whatever Myles said. out loud.
DBZ.
However, like you guys
really do.
did, make excellent points and whatever from what I can hear. However, I do know Jon Snow, and it seems to be a consensus that he was a very, very good character, and I agree. Like he was my choice.
All right, Jon
As the
Snow takes
tiebreaker.
it.
I should tell you guys actually that the biggest thing that I take away from watching Frontier is that it reminds me of Game of Thrones, but set in the 1800s in the Canadian fur trade up in Hudson's Bay.
Well, that does sound cool.
It is. It's actually really cool. But that's that interplay between people and the backstabbing and that's exactly
And
what
snow.
that show is. And lots of snow. Lots of snow. Not Jon Snow,
Oh,
but
Jon
Snow?
Canadian
Oh,
snow.
okay.
Oh, cool. Okay, moving right along. Best TV series. I hate to sound like a broken record, but yeah, I
You
think
sound like a broken record, JPar.
I'm gonna say it, Game of Thrones.
That's odd.
Why didn't we just call this the Game of Thrones?
Jerk off panel.
Yeah. Let's just choose everything Game of Thrones.
No.
We all know it's Game
It's
of
a
It
good
won't,
show.
it won't be Game of Thrones after this, I promise.
Okay. So you're choosing Game of Thrones?
That
Yeah.
sounds like what you chose.
It is.
Okay. I am going to pick, and I only because I
The
managed
good
to-
news is, for y'all, I'm not going to get to choose it next year because it won't be on next
because it won't
year.
be on TV.
So there you go. I can't keep
So
going
I'll
back.
be all caught up then, is what you're saying.
I
Well,
fucking
the
hope
jury's
so.
out on that one.
I fucking hope so.
Hey, you still got to watch season 2 of Stranger Things. You know you want
Did
to.
I though?
Okay, for my best TV series, and the only reason I'm putting this in here is because it came out late in 2017, and I just managed to slide it into the door last week.
That's what
Black Mirror.
he said.
Because the writing is consistently good. The season is short. The episodes are not connected with one another. So you can pick up the show and put it down. You can watch it. You don't have to watch the episodes in order. You never have to ask who's this, who's that, because every episode is a 1 hour microcosm of the story. Like it's all self-contained. It's easy to pick up, and the
It's cool. It's like Twilight Zone or like
Outer Limits. Yeah, there's a philosophy behind all of the episodes, and they always ask, like, they show you something that could plausibly happen, and then they show you the good things, and then they show you the bad things that have to go with it, all the technology and consequences. The show is consistently interesting. It's extremely well acted and well directed. And the concepts, every time I watch a new episode, it's always an interesting spin on something that probably already exists or will exist in the near future.
All right.
So,
Good choice. Dabu.
Well, I have to admit, I've only just scraped the surface with Black Mirror, so that might have made this list if I would have maybe seen it all. That's maybe my biggest downfall. So I will admit I'm exceptionally impressed with that one since I've started watching it. But because I'm much more familiar with Game of Thrones and I know the caliber of writing in that show, it just was up there immediately. I'm sorry to say this, Clay, but that's partly why we warned you before we started this.
I'm really quite shocked.
Are you now? But that just speaks for itself. I mean, the fact that the show keeps coming up in topic all the time is just... for good
it is
reason.
an amazing show.
It has... But then again, we set the bar pretty high when we expect something out of a Game of Thrones production right about now, so if they're not careful...
And all these other shows need to pick up their game.
Yeah.
Of Thrones.
No pun intended. No pun intended.
I can't believe you said that.
But that's part of what I love about the show, because I always expect there to be a bit of a lull every now and then, but every episode we've had so far, I feel like just keeps getting better.
When you
and
think
better.
it's getting slow, they do something like
They pick up the pace elsewhere in a different fashion.
they
right?
just shock you.
So I'm very satisfied with Game of Thrones because of it, and that's a big part of the reason why I made this list for me as best TV series.
Myles.
Well,
Game of
you
Thrones.
probably heard of this show, Game of Thrones.
Wait, what's that show again?
The thing with Game of Thrones, I'm just going to say it's got the Marvel effect, right? You have all these micro stories that are leading to this big story,
Yeah.
Avengers Infinity War. In this case, you have the White Walkers.
Or
and-
even like a Lord of the Rings kind of movie.
Or even Lord of the Rings. You have all these people coming together, they hate each other, but they have a common goal, and they gotta defeat the White Walkers at this point, and I like that. I like the lore. I like the
lore
magic.
and the
I
story.
like
The world
dragons,
building is so
the
cool.
world building, and I followed these characters. Literally, we've watched people
You've
grow
watched
up
them live and
as
die.
a kid.
like
Yeah.
Sansa.
Oh.
Yeah, it
Grow up,
blows my mind.
Arya, Sansa,
And they've
like
had a-
even Jon.
It makes you realize that your life isn't so bad. 'Cause they've seen and done some shit. So, yeah, Game of Thrones is definitely up there. 'Cause like you
Wins.
said, when it slows down, it picks up in the most interesting ways or most interesting places. So,
You know,
So-
I wish I would have been able to catch up, because I do love the show as much as you guys do. Like, I love it, but I just ended up in circumstances where I didn't get a chance to finish the season, so I couldn't nominate it for anything because I didn't see
That's
the
fair
end
enough.
that you guys saw. But trust me, I'm with you in spirit.
Yeah.
well, we got 3 for Game of Thrones.
I have to admit, I mean, it's more unanimous in this case, but that's only because, from our perspective, we put a lot of emphasis on how that show was such a leading example of what good writing ends
Yeah,
up
and
becoming,
I hope that you guys see that, like, the thing that the shows that I'm putting out here are just they are, like, even though they're losing, they're still very good shows, and you really should watch them.
I definitely want to pick up Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Because this week alone, I don't know why, but it's come up in conversation
because
much.
because last
Season
week
4, I
because
think it's
last
on right
week
now?
they dropped
Oh, season 4 already? Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
But the seasons are
I watched.
short, right? They're like-
they're standalone episodes. So.
yeah, so you can just pick them up at your own. You can just scroll through the episode list and see one and be like, oh, that's interesting, and watch it. And it's got
And it's
that
on
kind
Netflix?
Of, it's on Netflix.
Thank you.
Pay me, Netflix.
Yeah, no kidding. You should pay us for all the shows we review of yours. So, yeah. For 2 years in a row, Game of Thrones is the best TV series. We Promise Nothing Award. And next, best comic adaptation.
Okay. Well, this one I think that we are gonna.
This one's going to be a consensus.
Yeah, no,
last year the
I don't
winner
think
was
so.
the last year the winner was
You don't think
Deadpool,
so?
and it was a consensus. Last year Deadpool was the winner. It was a
I think
consensus.
that kind of gives you a glimpse into what we might say next.
That's why
Well,
I'm saying that.
this
So
one's-
mine, Logan.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah. Logan.
I know.
I picked
Unpredictable.
Logan for me as well.
Interesting. I don't have Logan because the thing with Logan. No, the thing with Logan, and it was up there for me because it was a great movie, but as a comic book adaptation,
Oh, we're getting
it had
technical
none
now.
of the comic book adaptation.
I knew you were
at
going
all.
to say that.
But
Well,
it's an
that's the
adaptation. In that means change. That
Logan
means,
was old. That was it. Good job as adapting the source
Okay,
material.
what did you pick then?
I did not pick Logan.
I chose nothing.
I chose nothing.
They all sucked.
No, I picked Justice League Action, which is a show I've been trying to get you guys to watch, and I know none of you have watched it. It hits every single comic book style, trope, joke, running joke, everything. Batman is a genius in it, and it's played by the only person who can voice
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy, exactly.
And just to be clear, this is an animation.
This is an animated series.
Right.
It's honestly, and it's the same idea as Black Mirror. Every episode is a standalone episode. There's no culmination of watching everything, so you can pick up the 4th episode and watch the 9th
Really?
episode. Yeah, and
That's
it's
cool.
good because every single episode is standalone. You have its own micro story. Here's Booster Gold and his story. Here's Hawkman and his story, and it's funny. It's actually really funny. So
That's cool.
Sorry,
I might give
Logan.
that a shot.
I am a big fan of the, let's say, the Diniverse or whatever you want to call it there.
Yeah.
The ones that what's his name we're in charge of. Anyways, Justice League, Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series.
It makes fun of all those series.
Like that's the series I was
It's
really like
self-aware.
those ones.
Yeah, it's
They had a
meta.
continuity that carried on, and then they just stopped making the DC animated universe.
Right.
And then I stopped caring because there was no more continuity, and they didn't bring back Kevin Conroy or Mark Hamill as the Joker. You know, they started doing new things.
You'll recognize all the voices. I'll just
that's
say
cool.
that. It's really cool.
Okay, but Logan does win for best comic
Yeah.
adaptation.
I have to admit, I
It
appreciate
does-
Don't read the comic then, because you'll
I know what the comic is.
Definitely read
the
the
comic.
comic.
Is
Okay, listen. I was
better,
trying to
like-
think of good adaptations, but I went through all the movies in my head, and the only one that I thought was actually good was Logan. And the reason I say it's a good adaptation is because finally we get the gore and the blood. With Wolverine, we finally get to see him like gut someone, cut limbs off. Like, this is the Wolverine we wanted to see. So that's why I say it's the best adaptation, because we finally get to see the real Wolverine.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was intensely raw, and I think it kind of needed
Yeah.
that tone. And that's probably the best generalization.
They were
of it. It
like,
was the
yeah,
tone
if
of the
this is
movie
going to
that
be the
captured it.
last one that he makes, let's just go for the
Let's
swing
go all
for
for
the
it.
fences.
Yeah.
That's why I
It was
voted for
satisfying is what it was. The movie was satisfying to watch. It's like, why couldn't we have had this one years ago?
Yeah.
If I was a huge comic book, follower, very much like yourself, Miles, I think I might have been much more critical about it. But at the same time,
This
The
show
Clay said it
even
perfectly, though.
reviewed the comic book, and it had none of the tropes of the comic book.
right? No,
So-
you're right. But I think as a movie lover, we have to appreciate what it is they took out
I
of
do
the
agree.
graphic novels.
It
and
misses a
put them
lot of
into
the
the
tropes
movie.
from the comic book, but when I look at the other adaptations for movie-wise, the comic
Yeah.
book adaptations, they're not close to the comics either. Spider-Man
It
is like
doesn't
way
have to be a
different.
movie.
I know it doesn't
I,
have to be a
it's
movie.
a-
but
I
open-
stuck to like just TV and movies. I didn't
Yes.
really.
yeah, I didn't
go-
think of cartoons either because I don't really follow. I would love to follow another new like DC cartoon or Marvel cartoon, but I
Yeah.
haven't found one that I liked.
And the only
Yeah,
anime
in a
that I
while.
follow
In a
is the
while.
anime that you hate. You don't
Yeah.
like the anime that I like.
Well, that Netflix one you showed was
Blame?
that.
That was good. I
Yeah, it
like
was.
that one.
But I put the blah and blah man. That's
Oh, all right. Next
Fucking-
category.
You can blah me.
Just
Don't
blow
blow
each other
your load.
later.
Yeah, don't blow your load on this one.
All right.
Wah, wah.
Next, we have best use of music. Now,
I'm curious
I
on this one.
decided. Okay, originally I was gonna go with Baby Driver because the way
Shocking.
they use the music was really cool to drive the story. Driver. But yeah, so I thought that was really good. Like, the music really brings the scenes together. I thought that was really good.
So it's an honorable mention, is what you're saying.
That's an honorable mention. Well, I don't know because I thought about it longer. I'm like, oh, what had like really cool music? The trailer for Thor 3. Oh my god. Just made me pumped to go see that movie. And then I started thinking about it even more. I'm like, you know what really had good use of music? And I'm going to say Dunkirk. The way the intensity of the music drives that movie, it's just like you actually feel the intensity through the music. Like the scenes of them trying to get out of Dunkirk. And you see the people lined up to get onto the boats. Just every situation is just like, no matter what they do, they can't get the hell out of Dunkirk while they're being surrounded by the German army. And it's just I found the music just really like got it. It didn't like get me sentimental, but it just got me in this zone where I was like, oh my god, this is so intense. Like, it just, I don't know, it drove the intensity for me for that movie. So those are my.
So which one? You
Wait,
said
yeah, which-
three.
I'm gonna say Dunkirk.
Okay, Dunkirk.
Okay. For mine, and I'm gonna and I should point this out before I even say this. The same guy who did the music for yours did the music for mine.
Oh.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna say
I love
Blade
his
Runner.
soundtrack. I love his soundtrack.
2049.
Blade Runner 2049. Because the music, just the hair on my arms is standing up. The music in that show, in that movie, just paints such an awesome picture. It goes so well with the scenes. If you had to listen, like if you had to watch that movie with any other music, it would make it less of a movie. Zimmer actually just nailed the mood of that movie. I actually bought the soundtrack. It's amazing. It's really, really good. And then they have some contemporary stuff thrown in there too. Like there's an Elvis song and there's a Frank Sinatra song in there, Summer Winds, I think it is. But he nails it all the way through, like especially at the end when they're at the wall, when they're at the fight at the wall, the music is crashing as loud as the water against the wall. Like it's incredible. I just watched Dunkirk today. And I realized that it was Hans Zimmer who did the soundtrack, so I listened specifically to the music, and I hated it.
Oh, okay.
Because, and I understood what
I'm
he
not
was
saying
trying
it's
to
not
do.
pleasant to listen to,
just
but
listen to what I'm going to say.
sure, go ahead.
The music that they chose in there, I understand that they were trying to get the tension across. He was
Right.
trying to get this tension across, but a lot of the tracks have this same formula about them where the music either just is something really simple that just speeds up,
Sure.
dun 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 dun, or it just gets louder and it's the same theme repeating for like 5 minutes ad nauseum. The same, it's just getting louder and louder and louder. And I understand that he's trying to build tension, but the scenes in that movie are so long that by the time the scene ends, I'm like, man, would they just shut the music off, like, or change it, or do something? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because it doesn't. I didn't find that it worked as well with the simpler style of music. I felt like they needed a little.
It
bit
looks
more.
like Myles is like enjoying this.
It was good.
I
though.
am. I just think it's funny
Why do you think it's funny?
because at first you said, I didn't like it, and then you're like, hold on, JPar, let me tell you why I didn't like it, and you just.
But the thing is
that thing to pieces.
okay. Well,
Tell me more about how bad it is.
The thing is that it sounds kind of the same as the Blade Runner soundtrack, but the Blade Runner soundtrack fits that a lot better, and the shots aren't as long. It's like it's good music. It's just not a super great fit.
Well, I just thought it was a great fit to build the intensity, but sure.
You guys are ironically describing it in very different ways, but are both accurate.
We can't both be right, Dave. That's not how the
can.
world
You
works.
certainly can. That's how this always works.
Well, what do you got,
Well,
Dave?
I'll say this. I will match you with saying Blade Runner, but only for the reason that I know that when you're dealing with the use of music, because music is either snippets of it or it's going to be like full-on soundtracks throughout the entire thing. You brought up Thor. Great example of bringing back classic music and in editing it in such a fashion that you're using it to draw the attention of the crowd to your immediate focus on what's on screen.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It could have been the shittiest looking fucking movie. It wouldn't make a difference. That song really got you getting,
Yeah.
Come from the
So-
land of the ice and snow.
which I love. That's what music does. It gets you immediately involved in what it is you're about to see, right? So when I think of Blade Runner and the use of the music, keyword being use, I love the fact that it brought me back to the feel of what I felt like when I was watching the original.
Yeah.
I was back into
I
that
will
universe,
say this: it
back into
did
that.
feel like the original.
They
a
nailed
lot.
the mood.
Yeah, and I think that's for good reason. Obviously, if they would have done anything different, you said it right, Clay.
Yeah.
It would no longer have been
Not
a Blade Runner
completely,
movie.
but it did.
Let's not get into
I'm
who
not
likes
getting
Blade Runner
semantics
more
of
over
Blade
here.
Runner.
We're not breaking down Blade Runner. I just love the fact that, in my opinion, what I felt was better use of it. So.
What do you say, Myles?
Well,
What say you?
It's funny. I agree and disagree with some of your choices, obviously. Dunkirk.
You don't like that movie?
I did not like that movie.
Neither
and
did
you
I.
know what?
It's too bad.
The score, I hate to say it, you nailed it. Everything you were saying, you took it out of my head or something. It made for a really good trailer. The trailer, for me, it was the very first trailer for Dunkirk when they're all on the bridge or the pier.
Yeah.
And they're all stuck there.
Yeah.
And you hear a plane coming.
Yeah.
And no one can move. Everybody just
That's
ducks.
so scary.
No music. And it had more intensity than the movie did. And then I
Okay.
watched the movie. I'm like, this whole thing
Just
is
raw
anticlimactic. It was just too boring. I was bored.
Wow, it's too bad you say that.
2049 was definitely an improvement over the original Blade Runner score. I much preferred the new score compared to the old one. The old one took me out of the movie a few times because it sounded like bells and triangles a few times.
The new one, it sounded like the soundtrack starts right at the beginning of the movie and just never quits. Like, it's just always on.
It definitely
you know?
painted a good atmosphere, but that was
Yeah.
not my choice.
What was your choice?
So what is your choice?
Baby Driver.
Oh, for
you were
fuck's
saying
sake.
it earlier.
Really?
It was fun. What I liked about Baby Driver is it was an exciting, fast-paced movie, and the music just played into the car chases, or he was dancing in the street, and you heard his music, but no one else did.
Right,
So when
yeah.
he took his headphones off, the music kind of fades out. I'm like, oh,
It's kind of a
I
part
like
of the.
that.
It was kind of a part
It
of the
was
story
fun.
too, because he was part deaf.
He was, yes. No, he wasn't.
Or he becomes.
He had tendinitis or something.
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus, thank you. Yeah, tendonitis. I think it's tennis elbow. I'm not a doctor. You heard it here, folks.
You're not Dr. Myles?
No,
Oh.
MD, but it's just my initials. But going back to Baby Driver, it was just fun. They made the music fun, and his partner, or not his partner, but his roommate, that he was taking care of, an old man, he was deaf, and he listened to music with his hands. And it was just cool to see him listen to the music while he was dancing to the music. So the music in that movie wasn't just something that happened in the background.
It's
it
a
was
part of
actually
the story.
important to the story. The songs that he made. He made from points in his life, like his mom and his dad, spoiler alert, dying.
Yeah.
He actually had a soundtrack for that. It was pretty cool. I don't know.
Again, going back to the use
Do
of
we,
the
use
word,
of
use of
music.
music.
Yeah.
They-
So,
they
what
use
do
that
you-
as a tool to tell the story. Which
Do we
is
want to
great.
let Kathy handle this, or
Well,
That's
no,
two
you
for
got
Blade
two for
Runner.
2049, so that's how
You think
it
so?
works, right?
you want to do it that way?
It was a good, even Myles admitted it was a good soundtrack.
It was a good
The
soundtrack.
way
And-
you guys told your explanation about Baby Driver makes perfect sense. I'm actually a bit shocked I didn't think of it that way. Because that is exactly what you need in a use of music for a
I
movie.
didn't see that movie, but Jay was talking about it yesterday or the day before, something like that, and I looked up reviews, or not reviews, like trailers and stuff on YouTube, and I had the unfortunate accident of having YouTube Generator automatically play a video that says everything wrong with Baby Driver in 10 minutes.
Yeah, but they have that for every movie.
I know, but some of the stuff I was like, man, there's
You
really
watched
crap.
that before the movie?
I didn't watch it. It was playing in the background, and I just kind of got
That's
it through
even worse.
osmosis, like I just absorbed it. And then I was like 10 minutes into it, and I was like, this movie sucks. I'm never going to watch this.
Oh, you ruined it for yourself by doing that.
I was busy. It was a big day.
Okay, well, that guy goes through things with a fine-tooth comb. He doesn't look at it as a experience. He looks at it as making a movie.
Well, he breaks it down into
You know what I
bit
mean?
by
Yeah,
bit what
some of the
movie
stuff that
is,
he was saying was like, holy, that's nitpicky. But
Yeah,
he did
really
have
nitpicky.
a couple of really good points.
All right, moving right along here.
Did he say anything about the music? No, he did not. Continue on.
He said something about the sound a few times.
All right, Blade Runner wins, but honorable mention too.
Oh, you can't do
Oh,
a
you
caveat
got
like
honorable
that.
mentions now.
Wow, it can't just be Blade Runner 2049, no.
We promise nothing.
I don't want to give it to Blade Runner for anything.
He just doesn't want to give me...
This
doesn't
is
wanna
what
give me
exactly
a
it's gonna
fucking
be.
win.
Oh,
Just
wow,
kidding.
that's how this works.
Just kidding. Best franchise. And I'll let you know what my nominations are.
You have nominations?
I usually put two down, and then, I toss and turn about it sometimes, so I gotta think about
Yeah,
it.
you like to bet on red and black, apparently.
Hey, I've been
Always
I've been
on
laying
that
my chips on the table, except for that.
Black.
I've been... Alright.
Play both tables.
Yeah.
Now, last year Star Wars won this, and for good reason. We were on a Star Wars high with, Rogue One wasn't the greatest, but still a good Star Wars movie, and we're still pretty riding that high from Force Awakens.
Also, Star Wars Rebels was on TV. Amazing show.
But this past year, there's something that happened with Star Wars that I wasn't really impressed with Disney.
The drugs went bad.
And it wasn't It wasn't only Last Jedi. EA kind of shit the bed with the whole Battlefront thing. There was that whole dilemma. So I'm not gonna vote Star Wars this year as my best franchise.
Huh?
I narrowed it down to two, and I'm actually gonna give it a little bit begrudgingly to Marvel. But here's my reason for it. Near the end, Disney got Fox, so now they own that. I mean, you could say the same thing for Star Wars because they got the original Star Wars, but the other fuck-ups are just too much to look away from. I also was thinking Game of Thrones, but I'm still gonna say Marvel. They got those Fox rights back, so they can make those awesome Avengers movies that we know they can make. I will admit there wasn't a lot of strong Marvel movies this year, but they still proved that they weren't shitty movies either. Everything was kind of a meh this year, but at least Marvel didn't lead us down a path that was too far off the rugged path, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying super strong showing for Marvel, but a stronger showing than maybe some other franchises this year.
I'm going to say the same thing, actually. I'm going to go with the MCU because... just because... Thor Ragnarok was paper thin, but it was intensely entertaining. you know?
Yes.
And when you go to the theater to see a movie, I mean, it made so much fun of itself that it made it funny. Like the jokes were good, you know. It was entertaining to watch. Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't as good as the first one, but it was a decent watch. You know, you got some good moments out of it, and based just off the movies that we got this year, like you said, none of them were like knock it out of the park great, but they still had the most consistent lineup out of any film, like any media franchise out there. So I would say the same thing.
And I will match that. Marvel seems to be the one, for me anyway, this past year. There was just so much better out of the Marvel universe than really any other universe I can think of. I know the DC fan in me wants to say, you know, the DC movie lineups are doing great and better, but I feel like they're doing exactly what we were worried about, which we've been commenting on more than once. They're just playing too much catch-up. So I will say Marvel.
Myles, tell us why we're wrong.
You are so wrong.
I saw it in your face.
Well, this year was the year of disappointment for me for Marvel. And to that effect, I can't really give them the best franchise award because they're misusing a great source material. It gave us Iron Fist last year, which led to Defenders. And my God, I can't believe I watched all of that. I'll never get that time back. That is shit.
See, I didn't. Maybe that's why
that's
I feel
Marvel.
Well, I watched Iron Fist. You made me watch Iron Fist.
Yeah, I know, but that's utter shit, and you can't ignore like. And I feel like Marvel Studios, like the movie studios, completely ignore what's going on the TV series. But I hate to say it, Marvel pops up right at the beginning. So you got to read Marvel, comic book flashes, and then a shit show. Literally, like I would pay to watch someone shit.
So who's your choice?
My choice is the Dragon Ball franchise. Surprise! It's been around since 1989. Okay, and you think they're running out of ideas, and then last year happened, Dragon Ball Super. Holy crap! I haven't, other than Game of Thrones, I haven't been waiting every single week for a new episode to drop. Like I'm watching episode to episode. I can't wait for it to end, and then binge it like everybody else does. It's not on Netflix, so you can't do that. So I'm waiting with bated breath for tonight's episode. We'll just say that. Because they reinvigorated the franchise. Whereas Marvel, I feel like they're stale right now. Even, I'm going to say this, even Spider-Man Homecoming was kind of... It's missing something.
It had Michael Keaton in it.
I know. Michael Keaton, honestly, if they didn't have Michael Keaton, I don't know.
I know. I agree with that. No,
I don't know. So
I do agree with that.
That's why I disagree with you. I know it's 3 against 1. I'm David and you guys are Goliath, but there's other things out there other than the Marvel machine.
I agree.
Say that.
You're not wrong, but like I said it wasn't like a super strong showing, but it was consistent.
But there was a lot of it.
It was consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, consistently. Okay.
You know what? I totally ignored the TV series. I was just talking about the movies.
Yeah, I never saw like the new Dragon Ball at all, so I can't.
I don't watch Dragon Ball.
It's my nominees are just the best of what I saw.
Oh, that's
right?
so.
This is not like I don't think that the Marvel universe is like the Marvel.
It's just this year
are the best.
This year it's better than other franchises.
It seemed like there was
next year, guarantee we won't say Marvel.
No, it seemed like
unless Infinity War is super amazing.
Well, they had look what their competition was: Fast and the Furious, Transformers, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Double.
Oh my god, that sucked.
So that's the franchises that Marvel's going up against, and dare I say, DC. So I don't know.
Was that a sneeze? Or
I sneezed on my butt.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, Marvel competing with garbage.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So when you're competing with literal shit, it's easy to stand up on top.
Marvel or a pile of shit. I'm gonna have to nominate Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. So,
anyway, it's a bad situation.
So bad that Marvel gets it.
Is that what we're calling Super?
Marvel does get it, but guarantee they won't get it next year.
They weren't the Marvel for me. We'll just say that.
Well,
they were just the most consistent, I think, out of the entire year.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
not saying they knocked it apart. I'm just saying they did better than the others.
There was just always something coming out that you were looking forward to, even though you were eventually disappointed on some level. You still
that's horrible.
We'd see a shitty movie, and then it'd be like, oh, well, at least Thor's coming up, or that kind of thing.
And I mean, Thor was a good movie.
Yeah, I laughed my ass off, but like you said, it was thin. It was crazy thin.
For sure. So that's the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 of the We Promising Nothing Awards, where we cover Best Picture and Best actor or actress. Stay tuned. We Promise Nothing Awards, Part 2.